government to crack down on foreigners working illegally, and the PeduliLindungi app is changing today. Stay tuned for details. Welcome to the latest news from Bali and Indonesia. This is March 1st, 2023, and my name is Bruce, and Selamat Siang. Let's start with the weather. The weather sucks. Wow. It has rained here 6 days in a row, high winds and a lot of rain, and that is affecting things all over the island. And I will talk a little bit about that in a segment coming up. This is March 1st, so there is hope that the weather will improve. I just hope it improves soon. And wherever you are in the island, let me know, how's the weather where you are? Up here in Singaraja, like I said, terrible. And right now, the temperature is 28.1 degrees Celsius, humidity 79%. It is gonna rain again soon. And I just got done cleaning the balcony. And the wind speed is 29.4 kilometers per hour and picking up. There hasn't been a lot of interesting news lately, and so I just don't do any news reports if nothing interests me anymore. But now, suddenly, the news cycle, wow, there is a lot of stuff. And so I'm gonna keep this to 20 minutes or so. And I may do another one tomorrow because there's just a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk about that I think would be of interest to people that are here, both tourists and foreigners living here permanently, and Indonesians as well. So we'll see about that for tomorrow. But for today, we got a lot of stuff. And the first thing, which is everywhere, which is all over all the news sources I read, the Indonesian news sources and the foreign news sources, is the issue of foreigners working illegally in Bali. And it has everybody commenting on it. The deputy governor, Sandiaga, all sorts of government officials. Wow, it's become a big issue. So there are 10 stories here. I've cut it down to 4, and there's a lot of overlap. The last one that I'm going to do here is a really interesting one, and that just came out yesterday. So let's get started. Many tourists go to work. Immigration is asked to prevent abuse of VOA, visa on arrival. Apparently, there is a lot of information available about foreigners working in Bali using holiday visas. Chairman of the Bali Tourism Board, Ida Bagus Agung Partha Adnyana, asked immigration to take preventive measures to prevent foreigners from using holiday visas to work in Bali. He said the preventive actions can be taken by immigration and revoke the visa on arrival for the foreigners. They should be able to show me the hotel where he will stay later on and so on. If he really wants to work, use the 10-year visa. I'm not sure how that works. Use the 10-year visa? According to him, many working foreigners live in Canggu, Ubud, and Sanur. Gus Agung, as he's known, warned foreign tourists not to take jobs. He said because their country is tough, of course, they are more tenacious than local residents. The reality is that local people can pass. I'm not sure what that means. Most foreigners, he said, working illegally in Bali work as marketing consultants for their own hotels, tour guides, digital nomads, and in a different segment, photographers and wedding photographers is mentioned as well. Second story, rising foreign nationals suspected of opening businesses without permits in Bali. Wirajaya calls a threat to MSMEs. So, as I've reported previously, the flow of foreign tourists is coming in now that COVID is more or less over. Australia is first and Russia is second. It says here it suddenly shot up to second largest country sending tourists to the island of the gods. The Russian phenomenon feels interesting because the citizens of a country that are currently at war with Ukraine do not just travel to Bali, but rather choose to live for a long time on this island. Responding to the rise of foreigners who've been living in Bali for a long time, the secretary of the Hanura Bali party gave his spotlight. He said, of course, we're happy if tourists are flowing back to Bali, but it's our hope that they will really go to Bali for tourism purposes. He continued, the length of stay, or the period of tourists visiting for a long time, is very good on the one hand for tourism and Bali's economy. He said, if the goal is to travel, of course, it's very good. But if for other reasons, even if you are secretly running a business, this must be criticized. He pointed out that with a long stay, it makes foreign tourists carry out business activities because they need to have money to eat and pay for their fancy villas. If it's legal and according to the permits, he said, of course, it's good. This is investment. It'll boost the Bali economy. But what's worrying, he said, is the emergence of illegal business actors without official permits, even entering the micro, small, and medium enterprises sector, which, as you may remember, I've talked about this many times, is what the government is focusing on, particularly Sandiaga Uno. Take a look at social media, he said. They offer a variety of services ranging from photos, villas, spas, haircuts, and others. He said that this business promo uses mostly Russians and targets the segment of Russian citizens on the island of the gods. This means that their arrival is not purely as tourists, he said. This has to be disciplined. On the one hand, he said, he's encouraging immigration to make more active efforts to address the phenomena. On the other hand, he said people who know about the alleged irregularities should report it to the immigration authorities. He said the conditions for reporting should not be difficult. He said, well, you can't really put the tourist passport there, you don't know, so that's okay. Likewise, he said, if the conditions require attaching photos and video evidence, well, it's possible, we could try, but it may be difficult for those who want to report. And so this needs to be made easier. So he's telling people, turn people in if you know they're working here illegally. Now this could set off a whole bunch of stuff. And apparently there is a website or an Instagram site or something of somebody that is targeting, like, seems mostly Russians, naming and shaming people who are working illegally, or whoever this person is who's running this site suspects are working illegally. Sandiaga Uno has gotten involved in this, and he's responded to Russian foreign nationals, including Ukrainians, suspected of working illegally. He said, we still have a policy to make it easier for foreign tourists to enter Indonesia, but there must be monitoring until they arrive in Indonesia to find out whether they're carrying out tourism activities or non-tourism activities. And the final segment on this, and this is interesting, Bali forms a task force to deal with work tourists without permits. The head of the Bali Tourism Office, Bagus Pamayun, said the Bali provincial government has formed a task force to handle tourists who come and work on the island of the gods without a work permit. He said that there's no definite report from the tourism and community components, but the task force consists of vertical regional apparatus organizations such as immigration and internal officials at the Bali provincial government level, and that they will be investigating. He said, internally, we have Satpol PP, Manpower, ESDM Office, the Industry and Trade Service for licensing, and a complete police force. The task force will handle matters like this, be it Russian citizens or any tourism issues. We will involve this team. And so the Russians are being spotlighted by the government now. Because the Russians are the second largest group coming in after the Australians, the government is monitoring their movements to ensure that they come and they live according to the visa that they've used to enter. If not, the task force team will carry out guidance and enforcement. He said, first, whatever it is, there must be rules or regulations. It's clear that if you use a tourist visa, you can't work. If there's work, we will check it in the field with this task force team. Bagus also emphasized that Bali would definitely be at a disadvantage if tourists were found working without the appropriate visas. In fact, even if they had work visas, there's still rules because the permits cannot be used arbitrarily. Meaning, if you've got a work permit and you come in on one thing, you can't use this just to work at anything you want to. For instance, when I was a teacher, I was a math teacher. I was listed as a math teacher on my visa, and so my working permit. And so I wasn't allowed to teach other things. Now, apparently, according to this article, there may be people here with a work permit for one thing, but they're working at something else, which is, according to the rules, not acceptable. He continued, anyone who comes to Bali several times, I say to them, you must follow the existing rules. Please come to Bali as much as possible, but note that you have to follow the rules both on a Balinese and national scale, and that much is clear. In terms of action, if they catch people, the task force has just been formed by the provincial government, and they'll work according to their respective sectors, including policy-making attitudes, which will be adjusted at the stages of mild, moderate, and severe actions. He said, I can't decide yet. What's clear is that according to the existing regulations, we will definitely carry out deportation if necessary. And another official weighing in here, the head of Bali Province Manpower and ESDM office, E.B. Setiawan, added that his team will comb through the data, but so far it's difficult in monitoring incoming and outgoing data. Of course, he said it can't only be at the provincial, Regency city levels, but also at the center, that is in Jakarta, because the system is there. Then the entry of foreign nationals to Bali and from Jakarta directly, of course, has a role for immigration. He concluded saying that they would determine a strategy to anticipate tourists working without a work permit by collecting data and working with the tourism agencies as the leading sector. And so, if you're here and you're working illegally, you better watch out. The government is watching for people, and I know that some nationalities, not to be named, post a lot of offers for work and things on Instagram and other social media platforms using their native language. Guess what? Google Translate works, and so immigration is following all that stuff. So if you're working illegally, I would stop unless you want to get deported. Next, PeduliLindungi app to change into Satu Sehat mobile, says government. And I've talked about this before, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago. And well, you know, it takes time to do things. So Satu Sehat mobile itself is from PeduliLindungi. It will automatically change, this says, because we do not want to burden people. So only announce that there will be changes, according to the Deputy Chief of Digital Transformation Office of the Health Ministry, Pak Rachmanto. And he adds, people just need to wait. On March 1st, that's today, the app on the phone will change by itself. Guess what? It doesn't. I'll talk about that in a second. He said that the Satu Sehat mobile will part of the services provided by the Satu Sehat platform and offer a broader array of health services. The platform is an innovation carried out by the ministry and a manifestation of Indonesia's health technology transformation, the sixth pillar of the health system transformation. Satu Sehat mobile is expected to help people in effectively and efficiently gathering data on their health service status by allowing them to see necessary data, ranging from vaccination certificates to drugs consumed. Rachmanto said that several consultation services will be offered by verified medical personnel or licensed hospitals on the platform. He also said that the security of data on the platform will be guaranteed. The ministry is collaborating with some stakeholders such as National Cyber and Crypto Agency, BSSN, and Communication and Informatics Ministry for certifying the application, establishing the security system, managing the technology, as well as registering human resources management. And this has been a concern of people. Users will not need to download the application because on March 1st, 2023, the PeduliLindungi app on devices will change by itself. Even if it needs new updates, users will be notified and will not need to register again. And so I tried this just a few minutes ago, and guess what? I go there, click on PeduliLindungi app, and it says there is an update. Would you like it or would you not like it? I clicked, yes, I would like it. It takes me to the Play Store where it just says open. It doesn't say update, upgrade, anything like that. And so this is March 1st. I'll try it later today and see if it works and talk about how it works in a future video. But at least it says there's an update, even if you can't get the update right now. And crime in Bali. Yes, crime is rising. Helmet theft rises. Police spread appeal banners. So to suppress the rampant incidents of motor vehicle theft and helmet theft, which occurs especially in public parking areas, especially in the tourist areas, the police have put up warning banners. One of them is what South Denpasar police personnel did the other day on Saturday. Notices of rampant incidents of losing helmets in beach tourism parking areas, especially Sanur, have gone viral on social media, and so that's got the police pushed into action, and they are going to intensify their patrol activities. South Denpasar Police Sabhara unit routinely conducts patrols around the coast. Even at this time, it's being intensified along with the increase in tourist visits, both those who will cross to Sanur Port as well as those who go on beach tours. If you were down at Sunrise Beach or Bangsal Sesa Beach, Sunurkaja, you should see these signs warning people to be safe, lock up their vehicles, lock up their helmets. The banners include beware of helmet theft, make sure your vehicle is locked when parked, make sure the helmet is stored or locked in a safe condition. And there are a lot of reports on social media about people's helmets being snatched, even when they have them inside their motorbike and put them under the seat, because it's easy to pop those seats. And so you don't want to leave anything in there that's expensive. If you've got an expensive helmet and you're going into a restaurant or a bar, you might want to take it with you because, well, I don't know, there's a rise in helmet theft. Be on the lookout, beware, and take care of your things. Don't be leaving money and stuff inside your motorbike storage place. It is not safe. And here is an update on some land issues over in the Gilimanuk area, and I've talked about this a number of times in the past, and this was one of the issues involved with the airport over there, demanding SHM, Surat Hak Milik, for land in Gilimanuk. 1,200 residents closed roads. Thousands of residents of Gilimanuk, Jembrana Regency, Bali, temporarily closed the Denpasar Gilimanuk National Road on Monday. The masses had gathered around 8 o'clock in the morning, and they walked from the Batutu Gilimanuk Pavilion and closed the National Road. The masses, calling themselves the Alliance of People Care for the Land of Gilimanuk, then prayed together. They urged that the process of Certificate of Ownership Rights, SHM, Surat Hak Milik, for Gilimanuk land be expedited. The residents reopened the road at 11:30 in the morning. According to coordinator for the group, this activity is not for political purposes. In fact, the people of Gilimanuk are the victims of politics. He explained that the residents of the Gilimanuk area have been waiting for this SHM process for a long time, but up to now, it's still not certain what's going on. He said, we've gone through several processes, even going to Jakarta to fight for the SHM. In the near future, we will also return to the Jembrana DPRD, the Jembrana government. He acknowledged that the residents' actions today disrupted traffic flow. However, he promised to hold the demonstration in an orderly and peaceful manner. He said, this is a peaceful action to pray together, both Hindus and Muslims together. And according to this article, Gilimanuk land is state land managed by the Jembrana Regency since 1992 in the form of HPL. Then the Jembrana Regency, which owns the HPL, rents it out to the public in the form of HGB. After decades of occupying the land, residents are demanding property rights over the land they occupy. The land issue in Gilimanuk has been going on for quite some time now. In fact, it's been going on for decades. And until now, there's no certainty for these people. And the government responded that they support in principle the Gilimanuk community's request, but it needs a process because there are rules that must be followed. The point is like that, according to Jembrana Regional Secretary Imade Budiasa. And so land is an issue not only for foreigners, a lot of foreigners get into land issues, but for national people, local people as well. Land is just a problem, and it's not just a problem in Bali. It was a problem when I lived in Sumbawa. It was a problem in Papua. Land is a big issue in Indonesia, and so if you're getting involved in land deals, you got to watch out. And let's go on to some weather-related news. A lot of stories all over social media and all the news sources that I read about how the weather is affecting the different regencies here on the island. I'm focused right here on Buleleng because, well, I live in Buleleng. And so, 68 disasters in Buleleng in January, February 2023. Losses of 3.7 billion rupiahs. Hundreds of buildings have been damaged because of disasters caused by the inclement weather or the extreme weather. The chief executive of Buleleng Regency BPBD, Putu Aryada Pribadi, said that dozens of natural disasters have occurred in the working area and they're dominated by landslides. He said there's been over 30 landslides in the January through February period. Overall, disasters resulted in damage to 240 buildings. 45 were heavily damaged, 173 moderately damaged, and 22 slightly damaged. The damaged buildings consisted of residence houses and public facilities. Total material loss of 3.7 billion rupiah. The Buleleng Regency government, he continued, will provide social assistance and repair buildings owned by residents and public facilities. The source of funds will come from the Unexpected Spending Fund. I didn't know they had that, BTT, of the Buleleng Regency government. Currently, he said, he's recorded a number of damages caused by the disaster. Later damage to the buildings that meet the criteria for Regent Regulation number 57 of 2022 will receive assistance. He said the house that was damaged can be assisted, or maybe the public facilities such as a place of worship that's damaged, and that can be helped as well. And if someone dies, compensation can be given. The BPBD in Buleleng urged the public to remain alert to potential disasters at any time, considering that we've now entered the transition from the rainy season to the dry season. He said due to entering the transition season, weather changes are also dynamic. There's still rain, there are still strong winds. Tell me about it. Wow, really strong winds. And the winds here just suddenly died down a lot. Good news. But it does look like it's going to rain. He said the public is advised to remain vigilant regarding the potential for hydrometeorological disasters. And finish up today with Pak Luhut and Pak Sandiaga. Luhut bans 3-star hotel project in Lake Toba. Sandiaga Uno explains. So there was a F1 powerboat championship in Lake Toba. I guess just recently finished up. There was a lot of stuff in the news about it, which I haven't talked about because it's just too much stuff, right? So Pak Luhut asked us to focus, Pak Sandiaga said, on building 5-star hotels because the market for 3-star hotels is already managed and available. He said there are several 3-star hotels that have been established and are operating, but he said there are no 5-star hotels in the Lake Toba area. He said this was a question for the F1 Powerboat Championships. He said we need more accommodation in Lake Toba, especially if we want to initiate international scale events. A 5-star hotel is a must. He also added that the homestays, the quality has to improve for homestays. According to him, the homestay price per night is about 350,000 rupiah, including breakfast. Okay, not cheap for a homestay. So Pak Luhut and Pak Sandiaga pushing for some upgrade to the facilities in Lake Toba for these international events coming in. And so continued push by the government in all sorts of different places in the country to get more tourists in, more big international events, including these sporting events. And that is it for today. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of damage because of the weather, and as I said at the start, who knows how much longer this is going to go on. I hope it gets a lot better. If you are not a subscriber and you're interested in how the other half, that is the Indonesians, live, we had a birthday party for my granddaughter last weekend, and there's a video up here if you want to see how Indonesians have parties at McDonald's. And I am putting another Singaraja snippets up either later today or tomorrow. It's already done. All I've got to do is upload it. And, well, it takes time to do these things. Thanks for viewing. Be kind to someone today. Stay safe. And I will see you next time.